Is estrangement from your adult child slowly tearing your marriage apart? You're not imagining it. This pain does not just affect you, but it does affect your relationships. And the good news is you do not have to let it break you. Today, I want to dive into some hidden ways that estrangement can strain your marriage, and more importantly, how you and your spouse can navigate this together. This is something that a lot of my clients talk to me about because many of them are married, and it is navigating that relationship with their spouse in addition to the loss of the relationship with their adult children. So let's dive in. I have 4 topics for you today that I want to cover in regards to coping with this. And the first is coping with the differences, because parenting styles, as you know, as a mom, it is very different than being a dad. A lot of dads will ask me, why do you not coach dads? Well, my experience is as a mom, and they are very different. And so estrangement will often magnify the differences in your parenting approaches. So we've known this since they were little, right? The way you parent, the way your husband parents. One of you may feel like the other was too strict or too lenient, and that can lead to frustration and blame in the marriage overall. Parenting is hard, and it takes a village, but instead of assigning fault in this area, I want to encourage you to focus on understanding each other's perspectives. This does not turn to be any different when you are dealing with estrangement. So if you can approach this as a team centered on the shared love for your child and your marriage, I know that's easier said than done. That is the end all be all. That's where we want to get to. I know everyone is not there. Heck, I was not there. My marriage almost ended. And it was really for a lack of communication. It wasn't because we loved my daughter more than we loved each other. We didn't know how to cope with the stress. And that leads me to number 2, rebuilding the trust. Because when you are under so much stress, the emotional weight of that estrangement can easily put distance between you and your husband. And so the grief, the frustration, the worry, all of these emotional and physical disconnections that happen, we have to be able to prioritize joy outside of the estrangement. You have to nurture your marriage. You have to nurture your relationship with your husband. Why? Because it will fall apart if you don't. I'm just being really honest here. And it's really easy to allow that to happen. I know that's not your goal. I've seen a lot of families break up through estrangement, but I've also seen many become closer than they were before, because trials do that to us. Trials allow us to grow personally and also in our relationships. I want to encourage you today to try to find those moments of joy that I know you have. Sometimes it's hard to find, and it takes work. It takes work. A lot of you are not wanting to do the work. Heck, I'll be honest, I didn't want to do the work, but starting to do the work on my marriage started with doing the work on Sally. And that was even harder than the marriage. So keep that in mind, and you taking care of yourself through this time is going to be so prevalent, and the rest is going to fall into place, but it starts with you. And so if you are a mom that is ready to take the next courageous step, taking care of yourself during this difficult time, if you're looking for a lifeline and you're committed to finding peace and support, then let's explore how I can help you. So I offer a discovery call. It is not a coaching call. It is an opportunity for me to learn about what's going on with your child. I want to know about what journey are you going on as a mom. In fact, that's actually more important than what's going on with your child, because I help you. That is my job. And so this is a consultation. So for those of you that are ready for coaching, that's what this call is about. And spots are definitely limited. So please only sign up if you're serious about prioritizing your own well-being, embracing personal growth, and doing the work. If that is you, you can click the link to schedule your call, and that'll be in the show notes. Number 3 is the blame trap. We always need to avoid the blame trap. And that goes for any relationship, because it's easy, number 1, to blame yourself. I should have, I shouldn't have, I could have, I didn't. Fill in the blank. You might be blaming your spouse. You were too hard on them. You were too lenient on them. Or maybe you're even blaming your child. But estrangement is very rarely caused by one single factor. The blame can lead to resentment, and that can drive a wedge between you and your spouse, just as the blame can drive the wedge between you and your adult child. It's when we are not navigating the blame and allowing that resentment to build up, that is where you'll see success. Rather than thinking, who's at fault here? Who did this? How about how can we support each other? What does our family look like right now? In the end, our family is going to come back together. But right now, how can we support each other moving forward? Lastly, number 4 is maintaining your own identity, right? You need to support each other, but you also have to maintain your identity. And estrangement can feel all-consuming, as you know. That can also lead to codependency, which leads to personal identity loss. This is where we have to go back to self-care, hobbies, other friendships, and faith to stay emotionally grounded. You are not meant to do this alone. And sometimes your spouse and your closest friends are not going to be the people who get you through this. I know that sounds really like this should not be that way. It should be my spouse. It should be my best friend. Well, if your best friend has not gone through this, they likely are, they're loving you to pieces. I promise you that. But they don't know what to say. They don't know how to handle this. I always tell my clients, save that best friend for your joy. Save that best friend for other areas of your life. Not that you can never talk to them about this, but this is not the focus in that relationship. And so you need to stay emotionally grounded. And I want you to encourage your spouse to do the same, because 2 healthy individuals create a stronger marriage. And the other option is, as most of you know, I have a group coaching program. I do one-on-one coaching, hence the discovery call I mentioned. You need to be in community, whether it's my group or someone else's. You need to be in community because you are not meant to do this alone. Heck, I can promise you it's going to be a lot harder if you try doing it on your own, because I did that for a long time. So honestly, estrangement can definitely test a marriage, but it does not have to break it. And so by you working through the differences and rebuilding that trust, avoiding blame, and nurturing that individual growth, that can strengthen your relationship. And most of all, remember that you are on the same team. We forget that sometimes. So remember, you're on the same team. I hope this helped you today, and I will see you in the next episode. God bless.